The program also engages hard-hitting issues concerning veterans' physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. This show airs every Tuesday from 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Vets On Media Network. Addie's Radio is hosted by Jesse James, a combat veteran of Afghanistan, so he knows the problems that veterans face every day. Jesse provides you guidance each and every week to be a better you. So tune into yourself each week by tuning into Addie's Radio. Go to vetsonmedia.com for show details.
You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets On Media Network.
All right, you are on The Arms Room. This is Glenn.
On.
Oh. Wow. Table's getting big. Are our mics on? Now
Yes.
They are.
Yours they are.
Okay.
Is mine on?
We're good to go? All right, cool. Right on. So, how was your weekend, John? What'd you do?
I had drill. I got to play soldier all weekend, and it was horrible.
What'd you do for drill?
Saturday we did some EOD training lanes, Friday we did some EOD training lanes, and then Saturday and Sunday was inventories and paperwork.
The fun stuff.
Yeah, the real part of the Army.
All the real stuff that they don't tell you in the recruiting
Yeah.
office. Listen up, kids.
Yeah, here's what you're going to do on Saturday.
95% boredom, 5% terror. All right. Matt, how about you? What you got going on?
Worked. Did a little bouncing. Had some fun.
Bounced.
Yeah. I'm a professional bounce house evaluator.
Nice.
Compliments my dolphin polishing and shaving.
Adam, what'd you do this weekend?
My son came home for the weekend from his grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Comic-Con.
I knew it.
And that, I got to tell you, that
What did
was...
you dress as?
What
I didn't dress up as. I dressed...
Bull crap.
No, I
The
swear.
Sailor Moon
I
chick. The blue-haired one.
That's dumb.
James and I had a veteran town hall meeting with all the candidates that are running for governor.
That's right. That's right. I saw Frank Riggs was there.
Yep.
Frank's Riggs.
Yep. So we covered that. Like, we only media group there that covered anything live.
Cool.
So we were there, and then right after that, so I was kind of in my business attire, and then right after that, I took my son and his buddy Parker down to Comic-Con. So I was in my business attire. So people were like, "Oh, who's this guy?" And I was like, "I'm $1 billion man." You know. I just walked around like that, and that's, I'm just
making it up.
just making shit up, and I tell you what, it was I had a good time. We were there for about 4 hours walking around, and there was a lot to see. It's like one of those like,
Yeah.
wow, this is different.
Yeah. I bet. I've never been to one.
Yeah, it's.
I'm never going to go to one. I'm going to have to live vicariously through your
Listen, I
experience.
don't never say never. I can tell you that right now, because if your kid's like, yeah, I want to go, you'll end up going.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for that. I had a good time this weekend. Mostly just hung out with my kids. I try to take my kids out individually, at least once every couple months or something. So one kid we took to the Edge of Tomorrow movie. Freaking awesome movie. I had low expectations because of Tom Cruise, but great movie. Really, really liked it. Another kid wanted to go kayaking, so we went kayaking around one of the local lakes. Saw some bald eagles, very cool stuff. Another kid wanted to go to the arcade, so we went down to the arcade and played games for a while. The little tiny guys, they didn't really have an opinion, so I just hung out with them. That was it. Exactly. They were,
Feed me.
they were
feed
like,
me.
whatever. But it was still fun hanging out with them. And yesterday, my son, mad props to my son, who finally beat me at Risk.
Nice.
Yeah, he is very happy about it. So, of course, when he beat me, I threw the damn board across the table.
That's what you get for teaching him all
Because you were
your
being
tricks.
a sore loser. Got it. Yeah.
I was like, this is impossible! But it was good. It was a good victory for him. He definitely beat me fair and square. So
I'll have to give him a high five the
That's
next
that.
time I'm up there.
yeah, well, see, we played Risk twice this weekend, and the first time I taught him, I always try to teach him why he's losing,
Mm-hmm.
and he used my exact same tactics against me.
Mm-hmm.
and destroyed me. Dang it. So good job, son. All right. Today. Oh, actually, before we get on to today's topic, we got to talk about some crazy stuff that's happening. First of all, we got the craziness with what's that guy's name? Bo Trader?
Bo Bergdahl.
Bo Trader Doll? Yeah, that's the guy. Craziness. Absolute madness. What's going on with that? I was reading in the newspaper this morning about his hometown up in Idaho, some podunk middle of nowhere, and they were so, for the last 5 years they've been all supportive of him and everything, and then of course he gets, released, exchanged for whatever you want to call it, and everyone's all excited in town, and then the media starts showing up. What do you think about him being a traitor and all this kind of stuff? And now they're this whole town is kind of thrown into controversy. They don't really know.
They canceled the whole homecoming thing.
Yeah, they canceled everything. I mean, they don't really know what to do. And then of course there's those of us who are greatly displeased with what's going on, like what happened to the whole "we don't negotiate with terrorists" thing. John, you're grinning like an idiot.
We don't negotiate. We just give them what they want.
We just give them what they want. What do you think, John? Because you're grinning like
Provide
a fool
them
over there.
arms. We'll do that.
Having actually been in Afghanistan when part of that was going on.
Yeah.
Getting air travel was almost impossible because everything was dedicated to searching for
Finding this
that
guy.
particular individual.
Sure.
And then the dude that we elected to run our country doing what he did.
We didn't do that, John.
We did not. I use we in the big sense of America.
America.
If there has ever in the history of the world been a time to put a national leader in prison,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say now is it.
Yeah.
I saw
it's really
somewhere
tough.
that he could be brought up on charges. His faces 10 years of.
Yeah.
Not that would ever
If that was
happen.
going to happen.
I don't think it. I don't
Yeah.
think that it should be.
That-
Should be. I think it should be a. It's happening right now, is what I think.
And there's already senators and Congress people calling for impeachment and stuff like that, and it all sounds really great in the grand scheme of things, but I
It's all part of the
wish it would
plan.
happen.
We impeached a guy for getting a blowjob.
That was a long what? You didn't impeach him.
See, and I was
Yeah.
against
Impeachment-
that. I mean, the guy.
impeachment
That's a lot of
is-
stress right there. If the guy needs to work on his, his forearm strength,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
bring it down, then hey, he would do
No,
it in
that actually
Oval
was
Office.
an
Hey,
impeachment.
more power to him.
Impeachment is.
I don't think it was the act,
too much?
Adam. I think it was the adultery part of things
Oh.
that got people a little upset.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you want to get technical about
Oh
it, sure.
my
But I mean,
gosh, mute your mic. All right, so yeah,
That's all I have to say about
I don't
it.
really know what else to say about it. It's terrible.
And
It
it's,
sucks.
It's coming out that they also gave them weapons and $5 to $6 million.
Well, and don't forget that he's been getting paid this entire
No.
time.
No,
No, he hasn't.
he has not been getting paid.
Okay, he's been getting
He will
promoted.
be. He will get his back pay if they do not bring him up on charges.
That's it. Okay, so he's gonna potentially get paid.
Yes.
Because he got captured in E1 or an E2. Right?
E3.
Yeah. E3.
Was he an E3?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought he was lower
something
than that, or I thought he was just private. So now he's an E5. Because
Yeah.
he's got his time of service promotion
Yeah.
basically. Did he do like the distance learning NCO school or?
I don't know. I
He
don't know
may
if he's
have.
eligible for GI Bill while
No,
in captivity or.
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
No.
But I don't know if it was actually.
you think he did
captivity.
PT while he was there
Yeah,
too?
but I did see him.
Yeah. How do you do on his PT
did,
scores?
I did see him on video. There's videos
I
of
mean, he's
him
still
like,
alive after being
teaching
a
infantry tactics.
Yeah. Well, he was just doing what he had to stay alive.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Like the part where he got rid of, he sold most of his stuff, got a list of all the stuff he would have to pay for, turned all that in,
Yeah.
and then sent the rest of his stuff back home. Totally not planning to leave. The part where all of his platoon members say he was
Yeah,
planning
saw
to
that coming.
leave. Yeah. Unbelievable, man. It's like we've totally lost control of our country. It's really.
Hmm.
And on that note, let's talk about Las Vegas. Madness in Las Vegas.
The revolution.
Did
Two cops.
I miss something?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yesterday
There was
in a CC's Pizza, which is always where the revolution begins, right?
I need some carbs before the revolution starts.
Yeah, you got a carb load,
I get
right?
cranky.
Yeah.
So a husband and wife walk into CC's Pizza, right? Because you told me you alerted me to this
Right,
yesterday.
yeah. So a husband and wife, just from my preliminary reading,
Sure.
a husband and wife walk in to CC's Pizza, two cops, point blank, right
Straight
there.
up cold blood.
Take their gear and guns off them, and they tell the police the revolution has begun. So they cross the street to Walmart, take a couple shots. Some female CCW holder I don't know if it's female or male, but some CCW holder engages them, and then they shoot them. I don't know if they killed the CCW holder,
Yes.
but they ended up retreating to the back of the store and popping themselves, and the
Yes.
revolution ended.
The revolution was over.
But it goes like back to what you say is like these mass shooters, as soon as they're confronted by somebody, they're just
They're done.
game over.
That's their end game. It's always their end game.
They're just gonna shoot until someone comes at them, and that's it.
So, and I always hate the way that the news reports it because they're like 5 dead. No.
3 dead.
2, who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 3 people who shouldn't have been dead are dead, and especially 2 cops. And that always sucks, man.
Right.
Regardless of what you think about police or whatever, like 2 working men sitting down.
Literally
at
on their lunch break.
Yeah, on their lunch break and just get straight up cold-blooded just shot and killed right there. That super sucks.
Yeah.
But again, it's another situation where here's another need to carry firearms. And because anti-gunners are always going to come out and say, see, this is all the gun violence. Like, look, these people are criminals. Thus they don't.
Murder is illegal.
Murder's already illegal. Shooting cops is already illegal. You know what I mean? So it's frustrating because all these shootings. And actually, did you hear about the student in Seattle
Yeah.
who pepper sprayed an active shooter
And then
stopped
like
him?
tackled him.
Yeah, pepper sprayed him.
And then it
stopped
comes
him.
out that he's like a huge gun supporter and
Yeah.
trains and carries and does all this stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and that is never going to make it to the mainstream media.
No.
I just happened to read that on, I think it was like a
Yes.
gun forum or something
Yeah.
like that.
I saw it on Facebook and
Yeah. So, I
We're hearing
mean,
that in the news.
and that happened this weekend or late last week, I think
Yeah.
it was. So here you've got a guy doesn't need a gun because we don't technically always have to have firearms when we're attacking these active shooters
Mhm.
because these active shooters aren't hardened combat veteran, kind of individuals. They're just assholes. And so a little bit of force, as we've seen time and time and time again, a little bit of force stops them. And in this
Right.
case, pepper spray, a little hands-on, butt kicking, and it was over. And I think he only managed to kill 2 people beforehand.
I think so. Yeah.
Still sucks.
Right.
But could it have been 10 or 12 or whatever? And because
Of
this
course.
guy took action, so it always boils down to the thing of the gun. If you're out there carrying a gun, the gun is just a tool, right? And you're a tool if you think that it's anything other than that.
Right.
You know what I
There's
mean?
a guy in Canada too. Killed like 3 Mounties.
Mm-hmm.
3 of the.
I didn't read about that one.
Yeah, the cops actually got him alive, which is a little different than how they do
Oh,
things in
that's
America.
sad.
Yeah, that's too bad. Because they abhor violence.
It's because they're very polite.
Yeah, they need to embrace more violence
I'm
against
sorry.
violent people.
Need you to stop shooting people, eh? You're gonna have you to put your guns down, eh?
You hate the Canadians or what?
No. I find them amusing and
I've never met a single mean Canadian. They're all so nice. My
Yeah, they are.
best
I don't
friend's
know
wife's
any mean
Canadian.
Canadians.
She's the
However,
best.
However,
it has been my experience when driving in the valley around here.
Mhm.
They can't drive for shit.
Canadians?
Yeah, they drive horribly.
It's because they're nice, and you can't drive nicely in
No.
the
Yeah,
valley.
No,
that-
you gotta
maybe
be
that's what it
aggressive.
is.
As soon
Yeah,
as I
you-
come down to the valley, I automatically have to put on like a different driving hat.
Yeah, you just
You drive like an
throw the-
angry,
throw the ski
pissed off
mask on
teenage
and-
girl.
throw
That's
the
how
ski
you
mask
drive.
on and roll up the windows, pull out your phone, and start texting.
Yeah, that's
You'll blend right in.
that's right. Put on your blinker, change lanes when there's no space available.
Yeah.
Just whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever I wanted to.
It's fantastic.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about med kits.
Sweet.
Last week we talked about med training.
Mm.
Talked about why you need med training, why you should get it, the kind of med training you're looking for. We want to kind of continue that conversation this week by talking about kits. All right. First of all, if you have any questions about kits, you can call us 602-399-7787. We never get any calls, but
Maybe today will be the first.
maybe
Yes.
today.
If you're listening, do it.
Or you can always go on to Facebook, of course, and go on to our We're Live post and post your questions up there.
Who,
We'll
by the
answer
way, Mr. Slits is the only one that ever does that.
Thanks,
Thank you, Jason.
We love you, buddy.
For
We
being the
love
guy
you.
who's always doing it. So let's talk about med kits. I brought in some of the med kits and independence training offers, makes, sells to students, stuff like that, and we're kind of going to use them as a basis for our discussion. But first, let's talk about basic medical kits. So, Matt, based on your limited experience,
Just a couple
couple weeks, based on those books you read, if you were going to tell somebody average person, because we had this question last week, like what should I carry around, and we kind of pushed that question aside a little bit and talked more about the training aspect of things. We briefly mentioned contents,
Right.
but if you were going to tell the average person on the street, like for example that you're talking to a cop this weekend about it, if you were going to say here's the minimum amount of stuff you should carry around with you in a kit, what would those things be?
Tourniquet, chest seal. If you can only have 2 things, that'd be it.
Those should be the 2 things.
Yep.
Because those are going to be the 2 things that are going to stop the most preventable.
The
cause
things
of
that the
death.
basic person with minimal instruction could fix or prevent. You're not busting out concrete and putting a new hole, patching the hole in the dam. You're kind of sticking your thumb in there with the tourniquet and chest seal, but it's the easier way to do it. If you could only carry 2 things, it would be a tourniquet and a chest seal. Because
Now, what kind of tourniquet would you recommend?
I would recommend the soft T, just because they're a bit sturdier, but at the same time they all have drawbacks. The one you showed me, what was that? At the handgun course?
The TK4?
Yeah, the TK4.
Mhm.
I actually really like that. Like a soft T, you might not be able to get around like a kid's leg,
Mhm.
but that TK4, I'd go the TK4 and a chest seal.
Mhm. And they're both really small.
They're small and
cost-wise, you're looking at $30 worth of stuff.
Right.
And that's buying like one of the best chest seals you can.
Yeah.
You could buy a cheap chest seal, like a Tegaderm, which is what we offer in the pocket kits. You know?
Yeah.
Like a big Tegaderm and a TK4.
You're under $20.
And you're $20, man. You're less than $20. You're like $15. And you can put that, as we're going to show, a couple like our pocket kit, which has those 2 and a couple other items in it. I mean, you can put that anywhere. Put it literally in your pocket, in a bag, in a purse, in a briefcase, in a glove box. So simple. There's really no reason for people not to have these supplies.
Right.
And of course, we have to caveat this entire show with none of this stuff does you any good if you don't have the training. That's kind of what we talked about last week. So we don't want to talk about that too much more this week. We mostly want to talk about contents. But you have to have training for this stuff. None of this stuff magically gives you skills.
right.
So if you were going to add to that, what are some things you would add to that? So tourniquet, chest seal, vital. What else?
Some gauze or maybe even like an ETD. Those
Okay.
are great. If you know what you're doing, like that trick I showed you, you can do some really cool stuff with the ETDs, even if you don't have a
ETD is
tourniquet.
emergency trauma dressing. All right. We'll pull one of those out in a minute.
I mean, it depends on your needs, I guess. I mean, a bare bones minimum, tourniquet, 2 chest seals, some tape, gauze and an ace wrap maybe. I mean, bare bones is really all you need. But in terms of comfort items, things that you can do a little bit more with, I mean, if depending on the legality of where you live, a chest needle decompression, those are great. But you're not going to carry that into school. You're not going to, like I talked about last week. I don't know. It just depends on your needs. If you're going to go out camping or hiking, or you're going to be out for a couple weeks out in the woods just playing around, and you're going to need some more stuff. Then you're talking SAM splints, oral rehydration salts. It's all need dependent.
Now, one thing just to mention there, if everyone's looking for a list of this kind of stuff, if you go to the Independence Training Facebook page, there's a link just a couple days ago to an article I wrote for the American Woman Shooter magazine that actually has this list of 5 things. And those are the exact 5 things I listed. I listed tourniquet, pressure dressing, occlusive seal, tape, and gauze. As the 5 things that I think are necessary.
Right.
In a kit. And so if you're interested in reading, that brief article is like a page, and you're interested in seeing that list, you can go to Independence Training's Facebook page. Easy. Just look up Independence Training, couple posts a couple days ago, and you'll find a link to that article. So if you want that list written down somewhere. So how are we going to carry this stuff? I think that's like the biggest problem that most people run into, because most people see an IFAK, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see me hold up this pouch. This is like what a typical IFAK or individual first aid kit looks like. That when people think of trauma stuff, this is normally what they see for sale. And while this is a small kit, if you were going to put it in your vehicle or your backpack or your range bag or something like that, for everyone to just kind of carry around, I think this is obviously too big. This isn't something I'm going to carry into a movie theater or whatever.
I'm not going to put that on my belt.
No. But something like this, now this is a pocket kit, the MK81.
The Mark 81.
Mark 81, all right? So this is the Mark 81 from Redwire Gear.
Oh, wow. Nice.
It's kind of subpar. I'm just kidding. It's
Whoa, hey, hold on. Before you go any further with it, this, by the way, is the national preview of this particular product.
Oh, this is the national preview.
Yeah, that's it.
International.
I showed it on stuff. I've showed it before.
Oh.
Yes, last week I thought I showed it.
Live radio,
Live radio, video radio.
whatever this is.
I don't know even what the hell we call. What do we call this? What is this called?
It's a hobby.
Podcast.
I'm gonna need to see both of you after the show.
All right,
No, I'm just kidding.
let's fight.
No, live
I think we just got fired.
internet radio. Internet radio.
Internet radio.
Internet
Okay,
radio.
that's what it's called. Internet. I don't know the official term.
Yeah.
All right.
Internet
Internet radio. It's the national preview. All right.
It
Of
is.
the Mark 81.
Galactic. You don't know who's tuning in. Galactic.
Galactic.
Intergalactic.
Intergalactic.
Yeah, you don't know.
So this is the Mark 81 Pocket Kit. We're going to show it before we take a break here real quick. Inside this kit, and this is the kit that I carry, and I put this in my cargo pants or toss it into, a bag or my briefcase. All it kind of depends on how I'm dressed. Normally it goes into a cargo pant pocket, but it doesn't always fit, if I'm wearing jeans or something like that.
One of our associates actually carried it in his front jeans pocket
Yes.
during several evolutions at ECQ.
Yes, he did. So inside this kit is kind of everything we think we need. Inside the underneath the cover there, pair of gloves, nitrile gloves. Nice if you're dealing with someone unknown to you, or sometimes just nice in certain situations. But also in here, and you can see, again, if you're watching the video, you can kind of see it's a very compact deal. And inside here, you've got a TK4 tourniquet. You've got an emergency trauma dressing, an ETD. You have a pack of Celox Rapid Gauze. So not only is it gauze that you can pack a wound with, but it's also a hemostatic agent to help clotting of blood. And you have a Tegaderm that you can use as an occlusive seal to seal up holes in the chest, side, back area. So there's kind of other than tape, really. I mean, that's really the only thing that this kit is missing. And a kit like this is not designed to be the end-all, be-all. A kit like this is designed to get you to a larger kit, that kit in your car, that kit in,
The ambulance.
Whatever. Just kind of designed to save somebody's life. And remember that kits, I think this is the biggest thing that most people overlook. Emergency kits, medical kits, I don't build those for other people. I build them for me. Like I'm number one when it comes to kits. Like that's why they call it the IFAC, right? It's not the UFAC, it's the IFAC, right? It's the individual first aid kit is for me. And so because this is for me, everything in here is designed to be self-applied. If I use it on someone else, so be it. But like in the military, of course, and TCCC, it's always taught if you're gonna patch someone else up, you use their kit, right?
Right.
So I use the contents out of their kit because my kit is for me and their kit is for them, kind of thing. So if we're looking at kits, we kind of start, I think, with this kind of thing.
Right.
Now what are these kits?
They will be
Go for.
available probably 1 July.
Okay.
Because I'm still working the pricing and stuff out on them.
Okay.
But their final production will look about 98% like that.
And I think the Celox Rapid, it obviously increases the price because it's kind of an expensive thing.
It's not going to be offered as a standard. It's going to be an option.
An optional. So without the Rapid, they're going to be like $60.
Yeah, somewhere 50, 60.
50 to 60
with
bucks.
all the other stuff in there.
With all the other stuff
Yeah,
in
with
there.
all the other stuff in
And then adding the Celox Rapid does bump it up significantly because that's a pretty expensive. That's a pretty expensive product, like $100 or something,
Yeah.
90 to $100.
Yeah.
So it's not that expensive of an investment. Literally save your life.
Right.
We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about we're gonna kind of keep going up in kits, and we're gonna talk about the kind of things you should carry in vehicle kits, range bag kits, home kits, business kits, things like that. We're gonna go on break. You listen to the Arms Room.
How about that bandage? You got some ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Are you or someone you know suffering from eczema, diabetes, or vitamin deficiencies? Then I can share with you something to help remedy that with Health and Wellness. It can be a business plan too, which is a great opportunity to meet and interact with all types of people who care about changing lives. So when you are ready to make a difference, call Jamie at 602-295-9969. That's 602-295-9969.
Hey everyone, it's Adam from Vets On. Are you or someone you know looking for employment? Then look no further than iVetX. iVetX is placing veterans with the right hiring companies. Join their mission in putting veterans in inspiring careers with ensured success. Access their national pipeline of military talent for companies. All veterans are pre-screened for 55 soft skill sets, 800 clarification types, education, experience, salary range, and so much more. iVetX can help you find the perfect job to veteran match. Your skills are based on what's needed for success in that job. If you're a hiring company or a veteran looking for your next career, then get started today and go to www.ivetx.com. iVetX, bridging the employer-veteran gap by putting Americans' veterans to work today. You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets On Media Network.
All right, you're back on The Arms Room. I lost my train of thought.
You totally lost your train of thought. I saw it happen.
Off the rails.
You saw that thing just derailed. I was trying to decipher the secret pattern in Matt's sleeve right there, and I'm like, why is there a bull and a chain and a deck of cards or something?
There's a bull in it. Where do you see a bull and a chain?
What is that thing?
Which one?
That thing.
It's a Thor's hammer.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't see the hammer part because it was in the crease of your
There's
funky
Cthulhu.
elbow. Why is that on your body?
Why not? Everyone has a little Cthulhu in them. Some more than others.
Interesting. That used to be a pickup line. Hey, you got a little German
Yeah,
in
it
you?
goes with my tentacle porn joke.
All right. So, back to kits.
Yes.
Yes.
So we talked about a pocket-style kit. And we like to refer to all these as FAKs, F-A-Ks, first aid kits, right? Because when most people think of a first aid kit, they think of the kind of crap that they buy at Walmart, the kind of crap that's hanging at
Alcohol
their job
pads
site.
galore.
Or, yeah, there's
Alcohol swabs, Band-Aids,
alcohol swabs, Band-Aids,
Tylenol.
ibuprofen usually.
Oh, yeah, ibuprofen
Mhm.
and tweezers.
And first aid cream, that super useful stuff that you have to have
This is cocoa
to
butter.
treat wounds. First aid cream, some Sting E's, for those little annoying bug bites. There's really not. Sometimes you'll see some kits that'll have like a roll of really crappy gauze, but at least that's better than. But it's just still only like 1 inch gauze or something.
Right.
It's like almost useless. 2 inch gauze maybe. So most first aid kits that you buy, I call them the magic talisman. People buy them, they put them in their office, they put them up at their
It's a
job
feel-good
site.
item.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in places where we've even done training. Were you with me in Flagstaff when we did that training and went into the office building to teach a first aid class to the general public? They were just hosting the class, and to get to the class, you had to walk past their kit. Was that you or Brett? Maybe it was Brett.
Probably Brett.
And so we have to walk past their first aid kit to get to the classroom, and the first aid kit is literally open. Stuff's like falling out of it. Half the compartments are empty, and we're teaching a medical class at this office building. It was just like irony, 100%. It was just, but that's what most people have. They have this kit. It just it makes them feel good because they have it, but it's totally useless. So we're talking about first aid kits that are actual first aid, life-saving kind of stuff. So you kind of go from a pocket kit to a larger IFAK. Now, if we were going to expand into an IFAK, something that we were going to carry on gear, on some kind of tactical gear or loadout, your fighting load or whatever, if you were going to carry it in a vehicle, if you were going to carry, well, not necessarily even a vehicle, if you were going to carry it in a backpack, if you were going to carry it in a range bag, what are some of the things you guys would add?
I would add a full-size trauma dressing.
Okay, full size. So in the pocket kit, it's the small one.
Yeah, it's the small one.
Yeah, it's a smaller pad because we got to be able to get it fit.
Right. I'd at least go to that, probably double that, and have 2 of them.
Right.
Because generally, when things go wrong, you always end up needing more than one bandage.
Yes. Right. What else will we add?
I would double up on the tourniquets, double up on the chest seals, throw some trauma shears in there, double up on any hemostatic agent you have, like combat gauze, Celox, whatever. Full size ETD.
Yep.
Tape. Gauze. Maybe an ace
or
wrap.
even a 6-inch, a 4-inch and a 6-inch.
4-inch bandage and a 6-inch bandage, yeah. So, and that's kind of the direction that I think that we were going for with our IFAK, and also I think that kind of everybody goes for it. And you look across IFAKs there, and here's kind of what you'll see, I think, in pre-made kits. Because I want to talk about pre-made kits real quick, because these are all pre-made kits. I mean, we sell these kits. The difference between the way that we put kits together and I think other people put kits together is a lot of company building kits, and if you look at what they're putting in there, they're building these kits based on how much money they can make off the items inside. Because as guys, I mean, all of us pretty much know the price of this stuff, the real price of this stuff, and so we know what kind of margins there are on some products versus others, and we know that we see these pre-made kits with a lot of the stuff we know that's higher margin but lesser quality, and we see that, and so we know like those guys aren't putting that in there because it's really useful. They're putting that in there because they can make more money, and there's not a lot of people who are training companies like us at Independence Training who do the training and make the kits. And I think that's the big difference is our kits are built off of, Matt's experience, my experience of wilderness stuff, our PJ, our pararescueman, his experience, our other combat medic that worked for us for a long time. It's based on real world experience. Like, hey, when we were responding to a situation, we really wished we would have had this stuff, or we wish we would have had 2 bandages, or we wish we would have had 2 tourniquets, or whatever. And so, the idea is we put kits together based on the stuff that we wished we had, as opposed to putting kits together based on, kind of how much money we make. And I think that's a big difference between, when you look at a lot of pre-made kits out there, because there's a bunch of them, and some of them are crazy expensive. And I think that's a big difference between our kits too. We're not in business to sell kits. We do sell kits. That's not all we do. So when we sell our kits, we're like, yeah, obviously we're a business. We have to make a little bit of money, but we're primarily concerned with getting good equipment in the hands of good people, especially people who are, taking our training. So that's kind of my caveat on, or my note, I should say, on pre-made kits. What do you think, Matt or John? You guys have anything to add to that?
I also make pre-made kits, but when I was doing that, looking at what was out there, what was available, and what those prices were, there's some outrageous stuff out there. And some of the more outrageous kits have good stuff in them, but those guys are still trying to make that profit margin. So they're pricing that kit out of what the average person can really afford to spend on something that they might or might not ever use in their life. And then the kits that you can pick up, less than $100, basically, most of them, like the big kits that are under $100, it's just full
crap.
And
people label it tactical.
Yes.
We were at the we weren't, because we were kicking ass at ECQC, but a couple of our instructors were at the and Matt, you were there too, at the Survivalist and Prepper Expo, and that was like one of the things that I noticed when we went in the first morning, and we're or the night before, and we're setting up, looking at other people's kits. They're like in tan pouches, so they look super tactical. They're called Warrior First Aid or some gay crap like that. And inside, when you look, you're like, oh, it's the IFAK, it's a Warrior IFAK, and you look in it, and it's like one bandage with a 5-inch shears, which are useless when you're trying to do something under pressure, and then a bunch of Band-Aids and little tiny rolls of gauze, and it's just crap. All they did was they took a crappy first aid kit and they put it in a cool tactical pouch, and then they called it Warrior something, or Tactical something, or Special Operations something, or whatever.
Space shuttle door gunner.
That's right. This is the Space Shuttle Door Gunner IFAK. Yeah, it's stupid.
Survive space.
So like here's our kind of idea of an IFAC. And we used a pouch that was a little bit larger than the content so that people could add more. We tried to put just enough stuff in there so that everyone had what they wanted, but so that you could add more without having to spend a lot. So 2 bandages, hemostatic, gauze, tape, under here, there we go. Tape, gloves, double halos, so you've got 2 chest seals, tourniquet, trauma shears. I think that's kind of if you're looking to build an IFAC, this is kind of the stuff you want. Now, other things I might consider adding: another tourniquet, more gauze. You never have enough gauze. Dermabond, sterilized super glue, basically.
More tape.
Water gel burn dressings.
Yeah,
I love water gel burn dressings. Throw those in there. And a kit like this, a pouch like this, has the capability to hold all that stuff. So you just kind of add more of what you think you're going to need. You've already got a couple bandages. If you can shove a 6-inch in there, all the better, right? If you can put an ACE bandage in there, it gives you lots of pressure. And if you, Matt taught me an awesome trick to use with ACE bandage, gauze, regular bandage, whatever. If you want to see how to really put this stuff to use from guys who are really, really experienced in using it, you really have to come to some training with Independence. I mean, that's really, I just can't recommend training enough to get. And there are some other trainers out in our country that are really good, but this is, we really do a good job. And I'm totally biased about that. Yeah.
For the listeners out there, how can they get a hold of you guys if they want to take a training class?
Man, Independence Training is easy to find. IndependenceTraining.com. Go to Facebook, Independence Training. Go to YouTube, Independence Training. You can email any of us, John at IndependenceTraining.com, Matt at IndependenceTraining.com. Badass MFer at, I'm just kidding, Glenn at IndependenceTraining.com.
The Glenn.
Glenn at IndependenceTraining.com. If you forgot all of our names, info at IndependenceTraining.com. It's really easy to get a hold of it. You do a Google search for Independence Training and, tons of stuff.
If you don't find us, your Google foo is sad.
Basically, you can't spell.
Yes.
Google will even correct independence for you if you have a hard time with that. So, and we do travel. We're based out of Arizona, but we travel all over the place to do our training. So if you want to host a class somewhere, you live in some other state or whatever, great. If you're
have training, we'll travel.
Have training, we'll travel. If you're a law enforcement officer, by the way, in the state of Arizona, our IFAC Lifesaver program, which is kind of our one-day wrap-it-up class, is AZ Post certified for continuing education. So that's a bonus. All right. And if you host a class, by the way, you do get free training. So if you host us, you yourself as the host will get a free slot. So something cool to add in there. All right. So let's get back to kits. I don't want to pitch us too much. All right. So back to kits. So this is kind of an IFAC. What we're looking at putting in a kit. Now, one of the big questions that I have, and in fact, one of the questions that our good friend Jason Sliss asked, because he's always
Jason asked us the question.
Always on our Facebook
never does
page.
that.
He says, "What about a vehicle kit? I bounce between a modified IFAC and Walmart Boo Boo kits. Blah blah blah. What's he say? Oh, basically, shut up and take my money. All right. So here you go, Jason. I did build you a kit. All right. I did build you one,
and we will take your money.
And I will take your money. All right, Jason. Here's your vehicle kit. All right. So what we did for vehicle kits, and if you were going to throw more stuff in a vehicle kit, Matt, what would you put in it?
Like building on top of that?
Yes. You were building on top of this. What else would you put in it for vehicle stuff?
I'd throw like a couple road flares, a window punch with a seatbelt cutter, maybe a SAM splint, emergency blanket, and then just double up on all the other immediate life-saving things, tourniquets, chest seals.
More stuff, because you're probably going to be dealing with mass casualties.
Right.
We recently, I recently, as we mentioned last week, I told that story about that, vehicle accident. John was there with me.
God.
And vehicle accidents, hands down, as a regular guy, civilian dude, most common thing that I have to deal with. Yeah. And we're on the road so much training that we see, I think, an above average number of vehicle accidents because of how much we travel. And so if you're a traveling person as well, for business, for pleasure, whatever, you probably see a lot of vehicle accidents, and maybe instead of passing by them and going, or showing up and going, I don't really know what to do, you'll actually have the capability to do something. So what we put in our vehicle kit is, and we put it in a hard case. So this is a Seahorse hard case, which is just like Pelicans or Storms, just a little bit less money, but it's still just as durable, waterproof, and all that kind of stuff. So I like a hard case for a vehicle kit, depending on how you're going to carry it. I like a hard case because it can rattle around, it can get beat up, it can get dusty. You can put it in a toolbox. It's waterproof, whatever. It's nice because the stuff inside is always going to be secure. So you put in an IFAK. So like in our vehicle case or our vehicle kit, as an example of what a good vehicle kit may be for you, for your situation, we take the IFAK and we put it inside the vehicle kit so that I can grab it out as a single piece and go. It's a grab and go solution. So I just grab my IFAK and there's all my life-saving stuff. I don't have to root through there and go, well, I'm going to need a bandage and I'm going to need a shear and that's one of the problems I have with a lot of the ways that vehicle kits are made is they're these huge giant kits and you have to rummage around and grab everything. I grab this out, bam, there's my life-saving stuff. Other stuff we added was the SAM splint, like you mentioned, a casualty blanket, like you mentioned, an extra bandage, an ACE wrap, an elastic bandage, not only for bandaging purposes, but use a tourniquet, stuff like that. Saline. The reason that I put saline in this kit is it seems like any time I've ever had to respond to a vehicle accident, eyes need to be washed out, wounds needed to be irrigated a little bit.
Airbag powder stuff.
Airbag powder crap gets everywhere, and it's crazy. I mean, I know you've seen vehicle accidents, and I've certainly been to several of them, and so that airbag goes off, and it's like this weird cloud of white in there, and that crap
powder.
It is, and it just settles all over everything, and so it's nice to be able to rinse some of that crap out of there. Road flares I like, and we had talked about that before about maybe amending this kit to we put a chem light in there for, it's better than nothing. I like the idea of road flares because then it gives you a way to signal other vehicles as opposed to just throwing on your flashers or something like that.
And up where you're from, there's a lot more windy roads than down here.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see an accident from a ways out down here, but up where you're at, you might have to run 100 feet down the road and throw a flare out.
So flares in a vehicle kit is a great addition. Last thing, or two more things, I guess. We have a window punch. Now, we don't have a seatbelt cutter in our pre-made kit. One thing that I put in my vehicle kit is one of those Rescue Me tools because it's a seatbelt cutter / window punch. The thing I like about this window punch is that I don't like about the Rescue Me is the Rescue Me, if you're punching through a window, your hand's going through the window too because it's a really small tool. With a big window punch like this, you can bust a window without sticking your hand through it. And so these are great window punches. And then, a seatbelt cutter is great. Don't try to use your knife as a seatbelt cutter. It really sucks. And it's probably relatively dull. And it's got to be razor sharp to cut through a belt. So adding a strap cutter of some kind to a vehicle kit is not a bad idea. And those Rescue Me tools are like $10. They're not very expensive. Last thing I was put in there is this Boo-Boo kit. This tiny little thing called the Pocket Medic from Adventure Medical Kits, this is, in my opinion, your Boo-Boo kit, your little tiny first aid kit that people have in these giant cases. This is everything you need. It's got a couple Band-Aids in there. It's got the sting relief. It's got all the crap we talked about earlier, little tweezers and moleskin and all the little tiny junk. So if you need little tiny Boo-Boo kind of stuff, this is a tiny little kit, and that has everything you need in it, and that's it. And you can toss it out of the way if you don't need it for trauma stuff. And it kind of goes in the bottom of the kit. You don't need it in a jiffy. So what else could we put in medical kits? Vehicle kits. Road flares. Maybe a strap cutter. What are some other things people might want to consider putting in a vehicle kit?
Window punch, strap cutter, road flares, emergency blankets, water, saline, maybe even just a small compact meal. Depends on if you're going to use it as a first aid kit or more of just like this goes with my vehicle. Depending on how big of a thing it is, couple emergency blankets, a fire starter, stuff like that.
So you have to kind of decide whether or not we're going with a just medical kit,
right,
or are we going with like a roadside emergency kit?
Right.
Because in that case, you may even throw in you may get a bigger case and throw in a set of jumper cables or something like that. One of those little yellow or a
car
reflective
AEDs.
Yeah, exactly. Throw in a car AED. Yeah. That's right. Those little jump packs. Throw out those little, a couple orange triangles or something like that. So you kind of have to decide what is this kit going to be? Is it just going to be medical? Or is it also going to be roadside emergency? All right. So that's your individual kits and your vehicle kits. We're going to go on break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what you guys think we should put into a very large kit, home kit, business kit, job site kit, whatever. You're listening to The Arms Room.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey, everyone. It's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strongly about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Would your goal be to get you and your family out of debt? I can show you how thousands of people and families are doing just that. This is a business plan made simple. We offer everything from weight loss products to green cleaning solutions. Whether you're interested in making it a full-time or part-time opportunity to become debt-free, or if you are just sick and tired of being sick and tired, call Jamie at 602-295-9969. That's 602-295-9969.
Breaker 1-9. How about that bandage? You got them ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Do you need an extra push to start your day? Well, then tune in to Addie's Radio. Addie's Radio is a show that explores tough questions in an open and fun forum. The program also engages hard-hitting issues concerning veterans' physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. This show airs every Tuesday from 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Vets On Media Network. Addie's Radio is hosted by Jesse James, a combat veteran of Afghanistan, so he knows the problems that veterans face every day. Jesse provides you guidance each and every week to be a better you. So tune into yourself each week by tuning into Addie's Radio. Go to vetsonmedia.com for show details.
You're listening to The Arms Room on the Vets On Media Network.
All right, you're back on the Arms Room. John?
Yeah, hey, before we move on to the larger kits, vehicle kits, something that I see a lot, and this is first aid kits in general, specifically to vehicles. Put your kit somewhere where you can actually get to it if you need it. Even if it's a minor inconvenience to you, like I keep mine behind the seat of my truck, and it's fairly wedged in with that and some other things that I always carry with me. It's a minor inconvenience, but if I'm in a bad car accident or I witness a bad car accident, I'll have to go rooting under my spare tire, digging crap out of here and there, open my door, grab my kit, take care of business.
I agree.
So
I agree. That's like mine's behind the passenger seat. You reach behind the passenger seat. It's bright colored. You know where the kit is. If I tell someone, go get the red kit out of my truck, they're going to see it. It's the only red thing in my truck.
Hey, go grab my first aid kit out of my car. Where is it? Well,
it's under the spare. You're going to need to unlock the spare.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's under the, I don't know. Just find it, man.
It's rattling around.
We got to jack the car up first. Drop the spare with the chain. It should plop out.
So Jason has another question. To clarify, awesome kit for one person and or essential emergency items for 4 people. How many should I plan for? Well,
one tourniquet each.
Yeah,
minimum.
The reality though is this: he's asking how many people do you plan for? Like, do you plan for if there's 4 people in his family, for example? So, that's what he put, 4 more people. So, do we go 4 people, 5 people, 6 people? Like, how many people should we plan for? At some point, you have to be reasonable. Yes, you could plan for 6 people, and you could have a kit, this huge kit that we've got over here, full of stuff. You could have a huge, giant backpack full of stuff. Right. But the reality of things is you're probably really going to be able to handle 1 or 2 people.
Right. Unless you have some serious training, you're not going to be able to handle multi-trauma on multi-system trauma on multiple patients. That's just not, You're
going to be triaging and doing the most you can for the person who's in the most danger, And with the kit, like the vehicle kit, just as an example, not to sound like we're always pitching our kits or anything. That's not the way I want this to come off. But, in our vehicle kit that we've got, if you're going to set a kit up like that, it's already got the IFAK in there, which could treat a couple of people. Even though it's only got one tourniquet, yeah, you should probably add another tourniquet, but you could also add, you can also use one of those pressure dressings as a tourniquet. You could use that roll of gauze as a tourniquet. So I think that, you kind of have to be reasonable at some point. Like, how much space in my vehicle am I willing to devote? Do I want to get a big old stomp medical bag in there that takes up an entire part of my back seat or my, half of my trunk so that I'm always ready for this giant mass casualty incident? I mean, yeah, it's good to be ready. It's good to be prepared. That's obviously what we're talking about. But you have to be reasonable, I think, about, how many people you want to treat. I think, personally, you should be able to treat 2 people. What do you think, Matt?
I'd say it's a reasonable number. I mean, you can haul a U-Haul trailer around full of a surgical room if you want. But in terms of how reasonable, I mean, just whatever you get a good kit, and then add more tourniquets, add more of the basic life-saving stuff, a couple more tourniquets, a couple more chest seals, that's the vital stuff. You're not going to need additional gauze. If you need to stop bleeding, you'll have another tourniquet. I'd start with the order of how important that thing is to preserving life, and then double up on that before you start doubling up on other stuff. So you might only need 1 Dermabond in a vehicle kit, but you might want to throw like 4 tourniquets in there.
Well, and one important thing that you mentioned earlier, which was the reason that I like to carry the TK4, is because I'm around my kids and other kids a lot. A cat tourniquet or a soft T is not going to go around any of my kids' appendages. It's just not going to fit them. But a TK4, I mean, you could put that around a crepe in all reality. I mean, put it around anything you want.
You can put it on your dog. You can put it on biggest guy, the smallest kid.
So if you're going to throw a tourniquet in there, an extra tourniquet, then it's not a bad idea to consider a different style of tourniquet like a TK4.
Maybe a couple of cats. I mean, the size a cat takes up versus the size a TK4 takes up. I mean, it's like what, like 2 to 1?
Double.
Yeah, about 2 to 1. Yeah.
So you could have 8 TK4s for 4 cats.
Now, well, the downside of the TK4 is harder to put on under stress, harder for people who are a little bit weaker to put on, and that could be you if you're injured. Also harder to put on one hand.
Right.
So I always like to have like a mix. Like I want a cat and a TK4.
Absolutely.
In my vehicle kit, I have a TK4 and a cat. And that kind of goes back to I want to be able to treat 2 people. It's the kind of thing where, I imagine, just based on my experience, and I'm interested because your medical experience is much more vast than mine, as well as a totally different environment. And so in my, experience, it's like, look, if I have 3 people with life-threatening injuries, I got to triage the one I can help the most, because there's probably a pretty low chance I'm going to be able to save them all, regardless of how many things I have. So I need to pick the person I have the highest chance of saving and start with them and go from there, because there's only so much I can do.
Right.
So I think planning for 2 people is sufficient. Do you agree, John? What do you think?
I carry around enough stuff for me and my family, like me, my wife, and my children. And then if it gets beyond that, calling somebody else.
Right.
Or hoping somebody else is there. But I keep enough stuff so that I can treat myself if necessary, and then treat my wife and my children.
So call it 3, 3 to 4 people is what you're
3 to 4
what you're
is
capable.
what I keep.
And one thing you can do is, find a good pre-made kit that's good, that has the stuff that you want in it, and make sure it's big enough to where you can add stuff.
Right. That's what I love about these IFAKs is, I mean, you can really stock some stuff up in here. I mean, you can throw probably 3 or 4 more tourniquets in there, more gauze, chest decompression.
Well, and one of the cool things that we've been playing with is this thing. This is the Mil-Spec Monkey shear and tourniquet holder, and it's the only tourniquet holder I found that's really great. And the reason being, here you go. If you're watching on the video, there you go. See it? Oh, all right. So what's cool about it is, if you have this kind of kit, and it's not someplace where something's going to get where the outside's going to get snagged and ripped off or anything. In the past, we've always held this kind of stuff. We've taken the shears and slipped them in the PALS webbing, and we've taken rubber bands and held the tourniquet on. Well, of course, we don't want our shears to get stuck on the PALS webbing, and we don't want them to get ripped out, and we don't want the tourniquet to bust those rubber bands and get pulled off. With something like this that attaches on the PALS webbing, or even a belt or whatever on the back, so I can put this on the outside of the tourniquet. The IFAK. So if you're looking again on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. All right,
so a second tourniquet on next to it.
Yeah. So if I wanted to, like Matt's got one as well, so I could put both my tourniquets on the outside.
Put 6 tourniquets in that thing.
you know, and then put
Why not?
my shears.
Why not?
So now I've got easy access to my shears, easy access to a couple of tourniquets, and then on the inside I take the shears and tourniquet out. Now I have more space for those other necessary items.
I've seen a lot of the gimmicky like tourniquet holders. I like this one, and then I just saw one the other night. I can't remember who makes it. I'll dig it up and post it on the show. But it's like a Kydex.
Yeah, I've played with the Kydex ones. I haven't found one that's awesome. John and I
I
found
didn't
one
get
at
to play
SHOT
with it
Show
yet.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of the company was, like 47
I've
or
got
something
the
like that.
Business card somewhere at home in my stack of SHOT Show business cards.
Right. So, but this is the one I found that's the most reasonably priced. Like the Kydex ones are still kind of expensive.
Right.
These are like $16. You know what I mean? So they're very, very reasonably priced. It's an easy add-on to your kit or the outside of your pack or your belt, or depending on how you're setting up your gear. I have easy access to my shears and my tourniquet, which are two things that I'm going to need. Got to be able to see the wound. Got to be able to stop the bleeding. Everything else I can kind of get into the kit and grab as time dictates. But so something like this is a great addition to a kit. So last thing we want to talk about on the show is, all right, so we've talked about individual kits. Pocket kits this is something I'm going to carry around every day, and this is literally what I carry around every day, to a bigger IFAC or individual first aid kit, to what we call the VFAC or vehicle first aid kit. Now we want to talk about what are the kinds of things that we would want to put into what we refer to as an MFAC or a multiple casualty kit. What do we want to put in when we're looking at multiple casualties or multiple injuries? So what are some of the things above and beyond the things we've already talked about that you guys think we want to put into a big kit that we're going to put in our home, our office, a job site, something like that? Don't hurt yourself, John.
Ow. Well, obviously Matt's a big fan of like quadrupling the amount of bandages and tourniquets
More
you
the
have.
better, yeah.
Maybe more saline. Add a bigger bottle or 2 bottles of saline.
Right.
A couple of extra emergency blankets. Definitely a burn dressing if it's going to be in your home or like at a job site, because I've never been to a job site, or like I've burned myself in my house because I'm retarded. And I'm talking to someone, I reach over and I'm just like, oh, is that stove eye hot?
We might have retarded listeners, John.
We might. I'm sorry. I apologize. So you're talking to someone and you look over, like, did I turn the stove eye on? And somehow your hand just like ends up attached to your stove eye, and you're like, wow, this really sucks.
It ends up attached to your
Cooking,
Yeah, you're like,
cooking bacon naked.
Yeah, like when you're cooking bacon naked.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Grease.
Happens to be
sticks.
all the
Grease
time.
splatter sucks. So, but stuff like that, probably a cold compress, like the instant cold packs.
Yeah.
Which are handy for a lot of other things.
Cold compresses as well, or cold packs as well as heat packs. I think that's a big thing that people overlook in their kits. They always throw in cold packs, but never heat packs. It's like, oh, cold packs for, you get a bruise or a hurt or sprain, whatever.
How about a warm pack when you're bleeding out and you're starting to get cold?
Exactly. What about our shock treatment when someone's losing, body temperature? What about if someone's just experiencing kind of hypothermia on a job site? You know what I mean? Right. It's really cold and somehow they fall into dunk water or something like that. Now they're freezing and you're trying to warm them up. What are some other things?
Go ahead, Matt. I'm pretty much out of ideas.
All right,
Okay,
John.
fire away, Matt.
Casualty blankets, the foil reflective kind, because then you can also
Not
use
the
that.
99-cent FU blankets.
No.
Yeah.
Spend the $3 or $4 on the military style ones. It's green on one side, reflective on the back. Because if you're in an office,
Those things are awesome.
You need to signal out a window. Giant piece of foil, that'll do the trick.
Or I like
Multi-purpose.
the ones we use in a lot of our kits because they're super cost effective, are the emergency medical kit ones, because they're 5x7. They're way more durable than the 99-cent ones, and they're bright orange on one side.
Right. Something that you can use
And
as a
silver
signal.
on the other, of course.
A lot of this stuff should be multi-purpose. If you can think outside the box, like ETDs, you can use as a tourniquet if you know what you're doing. With a casualty blanket, you can use it to signal. You can use it to put it up outside of a window if there's a, let's say there's a fire in your office and you're on the 4th floor and you're not going out in the hallway. Well, throw that up in the window, break the window out, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't break a window. I don't think most buildings above like the 2nd floor you just can't. They're like shatterproof. Like you're not
difficult.
Hard to break.
right.
Yeah.
Like suicide.
You're really going to work for this if you want.
Throw that up in the window. More gauze, more tourniquets, more ACE reps, ETDs, burn cream, some Dermabond, something this size for an office. Yeah, have your boo-boo stuff. Have your Bactine spray with the lidocaine in it. Have your.
But still, do you think that you should still keep your boo-boo kit stuff separately?
I mean,
What
it
do you
just
think?
depends. Like in an office, like a big office thing, you got one every couple floors or one every floor.
Mhm.
You know, make that the thing people instinctively go to if they need medical supplies. Because you're like, oh, well, the boo kit's on the 3rd floor in
Mhm.
Bob's office. Well, Bob's not here. He's never here. Guy's a slacker. You know, keep it all in one location. Keep it right next to the AED. That way, if something's wrong, you know to just go there
That's
and
the
get
that's
it.
the location.
Right? Because what if you're visiting your friend in the office, something happens. All you have to do is be like, hey, go get me wherever you guys keep this stuff, and then you go, and it's all at one location.
Well, and it's nice that they're, to have something like we make most of our kids red, orange, bright, high visibility, easy to see, and you can tell someone, go give me the orange kit, that orange hard case. There's not likely a lot of orange hard cases, but there may be a lot of white cases or a lot of, I'll see first aid kits that are like clear so you can see the contents. Well, that's great, but that's the kind of thing your eye's going to look over in a panic, where something orange or red is more likely to catch your attention. So we're kind of out of time. I wish we had 3 hours to talk about all this stuff. That would be great. But other stuff that you want to put in here is basically everything we talked about is what we put in this big MFAC, as well as under the lid we put a big decal that breaks everything up into sections and tells you what's in there. The bigger the kit, the more direction that you're possibly going to need. So make sure that you put that in there. One thing that we didn't talk about. That we would put in kits are these guys, casualty cards. We just put a couple of them in here, but the idea there is if you do have multiple casualties, you're gonna forget what you did with each one of them. You're gonna forget which each one's injuries are. You don't want to skip them. You don't want to mix them up. So throw in a couple casualty cards on somebody and say, hey, this is their injury. This is what we did. Especially if you've got multiple casualties, is incredibly important. With the individual stuff, is from a civilian perspective, not highly important. But when you're dealing with a large kit where you're probably going to be dealing with multiple casualties, pretty important. So that's it. Oh, you got one
last thing.
Go ahead.
Stacking the stuff. Like in your IFAC, the least important stuff is going to be the furthest away, the hardest to get. It's like a big ass box like this. The life-saving stuff's going to be on top. The boo-boo stuff's going to be on the bottom.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't forget to prioritize your kits. You want to be digging through junk to get to your tourniquets or bandages or whatever. So that's it for the show today. Medical kits, highly important to have one. If you're going to get a kit, just as important to get some training. A couple places you can go to look for kits. First of all, you can contact us at independencetraining.com. Also, John runs redwiregear.com. He has some very specialized kits, pocket kits, the kits that we use as firearms instructors that we mount on the back of our belts.
Very cool.
That are very, very cool kits. The Mark 82, he sells those. So, check with him, redwiregear.com or independencetraining.com if you want more information on the kits. What are we doing next week?
That's a really good question. We're doing our radio show next week.
We are doing our radio show next week. We're talking about food and water storage.
Ooh, yay.
We're talking about food and water storage, why it's necessary, how to get it done right. Until then, stay aware, stay safe, train hard. This is the Arms Room.